So we've been doing this position. I'll just use this. So we've been doing this position, which is like what we call the Rickson side control, right? So this is basically Rickson side control, as opposed to like more of a classic Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and he goes head and arm on his knees. Yeah, and uses a lot of isometric contraction, which means you're burning a lot of energy. There's not a lot of pressure on me without him squeezing. He has to start squeezing to put any real pressure. So if he goes back to the Rickson side control, there is a slightly kind of, I would argue that there is one kind of slight fundamental flaw versus the tradition. And that's that when I was starting Jiu-Jitsu, you basically see how Josh is blocking the hip? Yeah. He's locking in the upper body pretty much with his elbow. Yeah. We'll be taking the elbow ever so slightly off the ground. Just take this elbow off a little. Yeah, so it transfers even more weight. But this arm is free. That's the only, I would say, flaw, if you like, of this position. Yeah, is this arm is free. Whereas if he goes back to the traditional side control, he blocks my hip with his knee. Yeah, so you block the hip. So we used to have a thing called the fundamental 5 SPG, it still exists really. So you block the hip, first of all. Right, the next thing he wants to do is control my near side elbow. So he can bring his knee right up to my head on this side. And the higher he brings that up, the more it expands the space, I can't get my elbow to the mat. My far side elbow is under control because I can't really get it to the ground. The more he opens that elbow up and walks it up, the more he controls this, the position gets worse, right? And then he can move as appropriate, like he's locked in the upper body here with this cross face, and he can move as appropriate as number 5, 115. Maybe a bit of a cop out on number 5, but that's the 5. So when he goes back to Rickson approach, the one thing I would say about this is that this arm is right now is free. So I can choose to push his hip, or I can start moving this arm. So if let's say I'm hitting this just for now, so I'm not giving anything away. So I have my left arm on the Ilias crest. So this arm is free to move. Okay. So this arm is free. Which shoulder is he pinning here? My left shoulder. But what about my right shoulder? Right? I can kind of move. I can kind of move. So one of the things that we were playing with yesterday in the kind of isolation, I kind of started off here, people jumping into the scarf hold and so on. But what I want to just have a play with is this arm is free, and just working on I can bump and get this arm through, right? So once I've got this arm through, I can begin to start moving out. Because I'm getting my arm on the inside, so it starts to give me options. And the main thing so the first thing is I'm just going to start bringing this arm in front, right? And I can bump to do this. So if I feel like jump, put your weight on. Yeah, so he's putting more weight on and whatever. If I bring the arm here, look at what he can grab, switch to the sprawl, and do the paper cutter. Right? So I don't think the arm coming in there is a particularly great option. Right? I really want to get my arm through that gap. Right? So there's different things I can do to set this up. But so one thing I can do is start moving this. He's going to start moving up my body. Yeah. And maybe as I do that, I can then start working to go the other way. But I just want to start getting into this idea that anytime we can get that arm in front, we begin to get options. Okay? I can start to pendulum. I can start just to walk. Yeah, get up to my knees. But I just want to get that arm in front. Yeah? So when we just, to begin with now, we just think about basic coordinates of what I'm dealing with, of what's available to me. Versus, sometimes people will try and bump and whatever. I don't really want to burn any energy before I figure out what I'm dealing with. It's just a waste of time. So I want to just get used to that. We're in this position. It's a classic Rickson position. What's this fundamental? Maybe fundamental flaw. There's a fundamental flaw in all of these positions. There's nothing, unless you get into the back take with the guy face down on the ground, like the police try to get people with their arms bent behind their back, they're cuffed. There's always something. And obviously, the further those positions get down, that you get rewarded for in matches, it's because basically you're closer to finishing. right? They have less options, and the options they have a low probability, right? But that for me is the fundamental flaw of this position. We need to be kind of aware of it, and we need to have the defences ready for when people do this to us. Yeah. So just grab a body and just get that coordinate position 2 for 2. Just start working on a little bump if you need to, if you can't get your arm. At any time, just get your arm in front. And then the minute that you start to get your arm in front, start to work to push your shoulder up into their body and just come out on your knees. Yeah, just like I was just doing. You're just figuring a little way out. Yeah, let's give it a go. 2 for 2, you can read it.